prison ahead for him in his day. So I became jealous of that. So that was my first inclination that radio would be fun. As I got older, of course, I mellowed on my hatred of school, and I realized I had to do it. And as I grew older, I tried to take advantage of as much of the learning opportunity there as I could, but I still didn't like it. I never liked it. And I never wanted to go to college because I knew what I wanted to do. College to me was a 4-year detour. I figured college had nothing to teach me because I'm in a talent business. And nobody can teach talent, and there's certainly nobody at a college that can develop it. What I needed was experience. Plus, I didn't want to. I hated classroom. I hated tests. I had all of it. My father insisted I go to college. He came out of the Great Depression, and if you didn't go to college, you didn't have a prayer. If the Great Depression was the formative experience of your life, as it was for my parents and people of my generation, the baby boomers, if you didn't go to college, your life was over. You had no hope of ever getting a meaningful job, much less having a career. So he was insistent that I go to college. But folks, and the reason why I love this question, I was thinking about this last night. To my parents, my family, well, let me just restrict it to my dad. To my dad, college was not about connections. It was not about opening doors. It was not about meeting people that can grease skids for you later in life. It was all about merit. It was all about learning and getting a degree, proving that you had been educated. And in doing so, you had given yourself the best opportunity to have a happy and productive life. That's how he viewed college. And if you didn't go that route, if I didn't go that route, then those doors were going to remain forever closed to me because of his formative experience with the Great Depression. Of course, I sat there and said, Dad, I understand it was hell when you were growing up, but it's a different age, and it's not going to stop me. I know what I want to do. And he, folks, just to cut the story very short, he felt like a total failure as a father after being unable to persuade me. He tried everything. They took my car away from me and drove me to college every day. They restricted every bit of freedom I had for one semester. And I rebelled against it. I flunked speech. Me! I flunked speech. I refused to go to ballroom dance taught by a drill sergeant in the wax. But I went to work. I went to work every day. I went to the radio station every day. I wasn't slacking. I just didn't want to do it. But the important thing is, to him, it wasn't about getting accepted into anything. In my dad's world, getting admitted to college didn't mean diddly squat, like Ben Shapiro and his story about getting admitted to Harvard, and here's the dean, Elena Kagan, saying, you have made it, this is it, you're in. You don't have to do anything from this point forward, you're in, just make sure you graduate and you're in. That's not how he looked at it. You not only had to go, you had to perform. You had to excel, GPA and all of that. If you didn't, then it was a waste of time. Total performance meritocracy was his world. And it was nothing about becoming an elite. It was nothing about what these people are gaming the system so their kids can have access to it. It was not about that at all. My dad didn't care what school. Southeast Missouri State University, 5,000 students in our hometown, didn't matter. The idea of going to Harvard or an Ivy League school was never, ever even in our universe of possibilities. Maybe the University of Missouri, because that's where the family went to law school, but beyond that, that was it. There was none of this connection stuff, none of this meet people and grease the skids for you. It was none. It was all about making it on your own and giving yourself the best chance to do it. And of course, it took me a while to grow up fully, but it wasn't until I left home at age 20. I went to Pittsburgh. It wasn't until about a year after that I did the proverbial oop and realized that I didn't have anything that stated I was educated. I didn't have a degree. I had a high school diploma, big whoop. but I had nothing that would say to society or anybody conducting a job interview that I was educated. So it was only after a year away from home, and only after I had removed myself from the confines of formal education, that I realized I didn't know anything, and that I was going to have to demonstrate what I knew. I didn't have a sheepskin or a degree that said I knew this or was educated. I was going to have to show it every day. That's when I started reading everything I could get my hands on. That's when I started doing what my peers did in high school and when they were 4 years in college. Now, I didn't do it in a formal way. I didn't go anywhere to night school or any of that. I did it on my own, and I focused on things I was interested in and passions and so forth. But he was right all along about the need for an education. And he was right all along about the value of it. It's just, for whatever reason, I just could not peacefully coexist with the formal education setup. I couldn't do it today. If somebody said, you got to go to night school, I mean, I could probably, I'm old enough, mature enough to, but I would hate it. The idea of a classroom literally gives me the shakes. I'll teach myself. Plus now, you never know what kind of idiot you're going to run into as a professor in a college, which is a whole other discussion about the value of an education today. So to get to your question here, Robert, he would think that this is despicable. He would think this admittance scandal is one of the worst scandals that he could imagine because of the damage it's doing to these kids who are benefiting from having done nothing. They are having skids greased for them for having done nothing. The essence of the lucky sperm club, if you will. And he would have been outraged over the disintegration of something he considered to be sacrosanct, the education system of the country. He'd be devastated, but he'd be angry about it, and he would be angry about it from the have and have not, the elite versus plebe standpoint of it. But he would probably not be surprised, because he, like me, believed that everything liberals touch, they end up corrupting. Doesn't matter what it is. Education, music, television.